Good day everyone, my name is Arslan, and in today's video we're going to make an awesome road intersection of a small housing society inside Revit. Alright, so it's going to be a small housing society with about 10 houses around it, surrounding that road intersection, and there's even going to be a small park, and we're going to have a single carriageway along with a signal and a bus stop. So stay tuned and let's get started with that. So as usual, Revit and a metric architectural. The first thing you do is units. It's always the units, and after that we change the units to meters. Similarly, then let's go to massing and site. So the topography is the first thing that we do, the first thing we change, and let's set that to 60 meters. So this is the main the topo section of our project, and in this video we're going to set the elevation to 0. Right, so as we move further on we're going to go more advanced and more complicated, and then we're going to accordingly change it. So now it's, in Revit there are two main you could say reference lines that we have. In SketchUp we used to have the ruler, right, if you remember, which was extremely handy, and we could do anything with that ruler. We could set our lines and place components or objects in their exact places. In Revit we have model lines or detail lines, right? Model lines or detail lines. So detail lines, they're only view specific, as I would like to call them. You set them in the site view. As you can see in the top right, we are in the site view, so they're only going to show in the site view. While model lines, they're 3D lines which are going to show in every view, and they're going to be there in every elevation also. So that's the difference. In this case, we're going to use detail lines. We don't want model lines. So in other tutorials, we're going to use model lines accordingly. The width of the road that I've chosen is 8 meters, 4 meters for every single line. And the roundabout we have, I've set the diameter to, the radius is 8 meters, so the diameter is about 15 to 16 meters, right? A single carriageway is usually, the width is usually around 7 meters, 3.75 for every line. I've chosen 4, so a total of 8 meters is the width that we're taking. And in this intersection we have a small roundabout and two main roads which interconnect with one another, and then both of them connect with the roundabout by this small single road, right? So that's the main road intersection we have. And there's even a sidewalk, or you could say a footpath on its side, which has again a width of 2 meters, and which I'm going to draw within a while. Similarly, this is the fillet tool that we're using, because these road intersections are never sharp, right? We want them curved and a bit smooth and curved. So now I've connected the sides of the road with the roundabout we have, and there are going to be plots on its side, which I'm going to draw later on. Plots on all the sides. So now we are connecting the intersection, the roads with one another, by setting the fillet tool. So now, as you can see, this is the sidewalk, all right, which has again a width of 2 meters. So I've used the fillet tool to set it to give it a fillet of 2 meters. So it means this is our sidewalk or footpath, whatever you want to call it. So we have 2 roads, 1 roundabout, and a 2 meter wide footpath. And drawing these detail lines before you start the actual work is an important, I could say it's a very important practice. All right, let's call it a practice. Otherwise, you're going to have problems later on, because then when you divide your topography and you do everything, then things get a bit messy. So you draw these model lines, and they clear a lot of doubts, which we're going to have later on. So now I'm trying to connect all these with one another. So now we are actually dividing the topography, and when it comes to dividing the topographies, there are a few different tools. One is the dividing it into 2 pieces, which is the split topography, but there's even another tool that we have, which is dividing it into more than two sections, all right, subsections. So I'm trying to fix these small blackouts that we have, and as you can see now it's completed. So we have divided the footpath and the road from the main topography, right? I'm not going to show you these very small steps. I'll assume that you're familiar with them because otherwise the video is going to get too long and boring. So I'm going to cover these big steps for you, and so that it's easy for you to follow. And then you guys, I assume that you know these small steps, right? So now let's change the material to grass. This is that small park which I was initially talking about. So that's going to be our park. As you can see now, the topography is divided, all right? It's divided into the road, the sidewalk, and the main big section we have, and the park. And then, once I divided it, the footpath and the road got separated, and then I've even divided the park from it so that we could we could give it a different material. And as you can see now, I'm changing the material of the road, so that's even given, which is an asphalt pavement material. So this is our main site area, which looks quite good until now. We're going to improve it as we move further into the video. So now, when it comes to creating roads and curbs, there are a few different ways of doing it. In this video, I'm using the rail method, right? Which is very important for you to make clear. I'm using the rail method. So we're going to make two separate families, generic families, and then we're going to use a rail, and we're going to load that families inside that rail, right? So the first thing is making two families. One is going to be the footpath or the sidewalk, and the other one is going to be the main curb. So this is the second family that I'm making. And now we would have to draw the shape of the curb. And alright, this is the footpath, actually the sidewalk. And we initially set the width of the sidewalk to 2 meters, right, if you remember. So when we're making the families, we would again have to make sure that the width is set to 2 meters, and the depth can be around 100 mm. That's fine, or something close, it doesn't matter. So this is usually what the thicknesses are, but the width is important, which is 2 meters in this case. And so once we're done with that, now we have made that family of the footpath, the sidewalk, and we've saved it. Now it's the curb that we'd have to make. We save it, and then at the top right you could see load into project. So these are the two families. So this is the rail method, okay? Creating roads and curbs by the rail method. In other videos I'm going to cover different methods. There are a few different ways of doing this. People are even using floors to do this, and you can even do this by building paths, all right? So there are a few different ways of doing the same thing in Revit. It depends on the workflow of the user. In this case, I'm using the rail method. I believe this is the most effective method when it comes to roads and curbs, because the shape that you make, it changes with the topography, okay? In this case, we are not, our topography is constant. It has a zero elevation throughout. But in the rail method, the shape of the object changes with the topography. So that's the best thing about this method. So now we have made two different families. Now the only thing is that now we only have to make a normal rail. And let's make a normal rail and edit, duplicate. So we remove all the balusters and all the top rail and everything, and we set, and we only include the family that we have made, all right? So okay, it's not showing. I forgot to save it. Now once we save it, then only it's going to show, right? So save and load into project, then only it's going to show in this area. Otherwise it wasn't showing initially. I skipped that part of the video. So now we set the material to something gray or something concrete. So let's load these materials into our library, and now we have set the rail. Okay, so all these balusters and everything, set it to none. We don't want them. And you can check the preview out on the left. That's again very handy when it comes to Revit. You can see whatever you're doing now. Everything is removed, only the top rail is left. So this is our rail. Okay, this is the rail method, creating curbs and roads and basically anything. But this is, you can make a family by your choice, and then the only thing you have to do is select and make a rail out of it. That rail is going to change with the topography. So now, these are the detail lines which I made in the start. Okay, so make sure when you're doing this, you set detail lines in the start. Don't start your project without the detail lines. Otherwise, I've done this a few times, and then you're going to have a lot of problems here. And then in rail method, you cannot create two different rails. The rail have to be connected. So we would have to delete this, and we have to make rail two times. And you can even use the cut tool for this. For example, in this case, let's use the cut tool. It's better because we don't want anything outside our topography. So okay, let's connect this. I think there's a small area left here which I would have to connect. Okay, once that is done, so this is your curb. This is creating curbs by the rail method, which is the best method among all. As you can see, this is our rail, and you can edit the families accordingly. So I'm going to later edit it on a little bit to fix our rails. Now it's the initially rail that we have. This is the shape, so it looks perfect. Now we're going to edit the shape a little bit. So, but let's even make the footpath, the sidewalk, by the same way, and edit. Again, let's duplicate that. Let's rename it as the sidewalk. Again, is the same method. In this case, we changed our family to the sidewalk. Okay, so as you can see in the left side. And when it comes to the materials, let's set it to something blocky, some concrete blocks or something like that. We can even use pavers, but in this case I've just used this method, this material, and again the balusters and everything. Okay, so this is it. This is the final result. Check this out. It looks very good, very realistic, and check the sidewalk out. It's changing with our path. Okay, and these are the block materials that I had set. So this is an awesome way of doing it in Revit. As you can see, it's perfect. The sidewalk is turning around. I mean, it's changing position and orientation with the line of the road that we had set. Okay, according to it's changing with the detail lines. Okay, and as you can see, guys, we're done with our topography in our main site plan. Okay, our site plan, our site layout, it's done. And we have a curb, a sidewalk, road, a small park, and these are the main plot areas which I'm going to fix. So now it's again loading the components. And as I previously said, the fun part and the most boring part is loading the components, checking out all the folders, finding the one that you want, and then orienting it, fixing it, scaling it, and making sure that it looks good. So it takes a lot of time loading the components and finding the right one for you. So now we're checking out the main library we have. Okay, these are the the signs which we're going to use for our road. So let's load one of these signs. So now it's again, okay, so this is just the first component that we have loaded, and as you can see, now we'd have to bring in a lot more so that we make sure that our site plan looks presentable and good. Okay guys, so this is the update. two components added until now, and I'm slowly gonna, we're gonna skip these small parts, and I'm gonna load components one by one. All right, guys. So these are the updates until now. I've added a lot more than before, and these are the stop signs, the crosswalk signs that we have. I've added all the street lights using the array tool. This is a small bus stop, and we even have the benches and the trash cans, the street trash cans. We even have a billboard or an advertisement board. And, these are a total of three sidewalks. So these type of zebra crossings that we have. So that is the sign, and let's rotate this by a bit. The street light. Again, we have trash cans and everything. A lot of things are added to it, to our main plan. So now the main thing is the plots, okay, the housing plots, and we're going to do that by the building tool, okay. So we can use the building tool, and the base of the building tool is going to be set to our PCC level, plain cement concrete level, which is usually 1 meter below our road level. If you remember in my previous videos, I said that the plinth level is 3 feet above your road level, and the PCC is, or you could say the foundation depth is usually 1 meters below. For most residential houses or most projects, in fact, 1 meter is more than enough. So in high-rise buildings, it's a different case, but for now, 1 meter. So let's set this level to -1, and this is going to be our PCC level, okay, plain cement concrete level. Our building pad is going to be at this level. So we're gonna denote our plots by our building pad. And the plot size which I've chosen is 35 by 80 feet. Okay, this is a normal plot size, an average house, 35 by 80 feet. So we're going to make these building pads which are going to be our plots, and then we're going to copy them throughout the area. So these are going to denote our plots in our society that we're making, in our housing society. Let's set this to 35 by 80 meters, and then we just move it to our position by the move tool, but it has to be within our topography. So I think we would have to increase the size of our overall topography so that all these plot sizes can fit inside. So now let's just move it to our right position. Okay, so this is our site plan. These are our plot areas which I was making. These are the updates we have until now. We have set the plots as you guys saw. Now it's loading the components into the park. So again, let me check that, the different components. We would even need to add small lights, or you could say standing lights, which would be for the park. And as you guys can see, I've loaded a lot more. We have two these basketball poles, and we have a small court which is inside our park. Okay, let's check the render view out, and I think until now it looks pretty awesome. So look, these are all the different things that we have loaded into our project, and let's check the morning view out. So guys, this is it. This is our housing society with all the plots that I was talking about, and our main road intersection. Okay, so let's go back to a normal view, and so guys, this is our main final project, and I've added everything. I've even added a small house, a residential house, the cars and the roads and the road signs, the benches and the street lights, and our court and our park is also complete. So this is our main final rendered road intersection that I was talking about. This is, I believe, not at all a bad job done, okay? This is not a bad job done. It looks pretty good. And I've even added people into it. And these are our main plots. We have our main basketball court. We have that sitting area too, the benches and everything. So these are small families, family components that I have of humans. Similar, this is our court, and these are the standing lights. Let's go to our night view. Slowly on, let's go to our night view, which is going to be very interesting. So let's go, let's change the time, and this is our main sun. Alright guys, so this is our night view, and look, this is our final prepared road intersection project. Of course, the plots has no light, and damn, this house has no lights too. So it's okay, we would add that later on. But this is our main final road intersection project, and I believe it looks good. Not a bad job done. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to add a few rendered images at the end. So stay tuned with us for more interesting videos, and I hope you learned something too. So thank you and keep watching.